Hey gang, today I'd like to talk about 2 quick tips, which is actually technically 3 quick tips for building out SAS and SCSS files. Here you'll see that we have 3 of the exact same component. The background color changes, the image changes, the text might change, but the format is exactly the same. And it is in fact that. We call it callout section. It might have a modifier of left or right, but ultimately it's still callout section, and it has a few elements, image and text. There's 3 of them, exactly the same, so callout section, this one is right, image, text, all the way through. Very basic formatting, nothing too fancy. There's a little bit of flex on here, some padding, and some controls for the image. Now the first thing we can do, I've already set this up, is we can just alternate it using odd or even. So when I uncomment this, you'll see that all of the odd ones, 1 and 3, shift to the right, or I can switch it to even. Okay, very quick and easy. I can even change this to use the modifier. So here's right. All of the ones with the right modifier are on the right now. So tip number 1, components. If I was going to set this up, it would actually be its own thing in its own file. Okay, that's not really one of the magic tips that I'm about to talk about, but I do believe that components should be their own file, either as a partial or as the whole thing if you're doing it that way. Keep them clean because it keeps the file very small. You can see this one's only 27 lines to get this working back and forth. Takes very little effort at all. From there we move on to the real tips. So tip number 2 is everything inside of this component should not need that name. You should be using ampersands in here, right? Because they call the parent above them. But if I use an ampersand here for this callout section image, you're going to see that it breaks right away, and it's like, well, why is it doing that? That is inside of this component, this callout section right, but why isn't it working? And the quick answer is that it's actually calling callout section -- right _ image, which is not what this is. This is callout section _ image. I had a situation where, for the life of me, I could not figure out why something similar to this wasn't working. And so I came up with a drop-dead simple way of outputting that, just like doing a PHP var dump or some sort of an echo. And it looks like this. You just use @before and call that variable right as your content. So we need to wrap it in this funny looking thing because we are concatenating it all together. And here's the ampersand. And you're going to see that it actually says callout section -- right, which is not what this is called. If we put _ image on the end of that, that's never going to call anything, which is why it's not working. So the first real tip is debugging. Okay. Tip number 2 has to do with how do we do that? Thank you. There's a dictionary. How do we keep our component clean while still only having one top level name? And the way to do that is to use another variable. I learned about this probably a couple months ago. I can't seem to remember where I learned it from, but all you do is you declare a variable and call it this. You can call it anything, but I like this. Bit of a JavaScript thing there. And then down in here, you use it the exact same way that we did up here, only instead of ampersand you use this. So now we have these curly brackets, $this, and you're going to see that our margins pop right in there. We can comment this back out and everything works as it should. Whether we're using the modifier or the nth child odd even, it still works. So this is a very easy way of keeping your components small, keeping them clean. If I ever needed to change this to, I don't know, blah dash section, obviously that's not going to work here because I didn't change any of the HTML. But if I changed all of the HTML, I only need to change this one name, and this CSS component works exactly the way as it did before. Keeps my SCSS files very, very tidy, very neat. I don't have to monkey around with anything. So 2 tips, 3 tips. 1, break your components into their own file. 2, a quick way of debugging. And 3, this, or whatever you're going to name it, right? Using this to call that element inside of another element. Do you have any quick tips? I'd be curious to learn them. Definitely comment in the comments. Until next time, have a good one. See you later.